Okay, so here we are, continuing the second part of what I'm reading off of my book. So let's see what you guys think. Our life was not mundane at all. I'd take weeks off, head to various places all over the world, and indulge myself in their culture, while treating Maria to the most luxurious spas, penthouses, wine, caviar, the fucking works. I'd win case to case, representing my clients to the highest extent and making things right. This went on for years and years. Within excelling in this, so did my social life and status, which were just perks of it all. It didn't interest me as much, but was abundantly beneficial as I had more introverted nature. Growing up, being able to talk and understand people was a gift, I would say. Then one day, on a stressful Wednesday, if I recall correctly, I was under so much pressure for a new case that I guess I finally cracked. The constant insinuating headaches along with sleepless hours finally reached the climax, and I couldn't handle it anymore. Reading over the case made me realize that my job wasn't about bringing justice anymore, but basically finding loopholes to help rich big shots off cuffs and in fancy, fully equipped chill rooms for their comfort. The saying goes that money doesn't buy happiness, but at the same time it indeed does help the system keep its cloak over the hourglass. As the sands of time sprinkle and forgive no one for what they have used their set time on, even though it is a human construct to measure one event to the next. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just about spiritual warfare. It is indeed a mental one as well. The war for your mind is very real. You start from the womb itself, eventually outgrowing it and learning and conforming to the basic functions we have come to know as normal. The brainwashing by those in power is such at a deep level that even those who are victims of it will defend it to death. Why? Because it's all they have known. It is all they have known. It is all they have ever lived. And the idea of breaking such a reality would have them malfunction. We can't have that now, can we? Back to the story. My client was a very eccentric, charismatic man. The face he showed to the public was indeed one that was completely different from his personal life. Always being surrounded in controversy, the man would practically brush off his shoulders. It is like nothing I had seen before. He knew what to say to the cameras. He'd smile and go on his way to some other act of debauchery that would swing his way. I got to know the guy a bit more. This is why it is essential to understand that this event also tied into why I started stressing the fuck out. And the rest is history. This was my biggest case ever and I fucking blew it. Why, you may ask? I knew too much and couldn't take all the information. It not just hurt my mind, but my soul that such acts were happening. Stuff you'd only see in horror movies. Stuff shown in history that would reflect our ever-enveloping strife to the carnal and animalistic tendencies. How far is morality pushed when those that surround us with the very essence of the filth are the culprits of the decline of our civilization? A man that was primarily an actor and through his charisma was able to move up places when women would swoon at his very presence. Men would show a certain respect for him as they grew up watching his movies and molded their idea of how to be a man based off this. I can't deny I enjoy the time I got to spend with him, but there are certain borders I'm not willing to cross in the name of morality. We got to a point where very cult-like behavior was being enacted behind closed doors. Feral behavior that would make the toughest of men weep. I thought stuff like this didn't really exist, but my oh my. They picked up quite the traits from the Mayans. Sacrifice. A chicken here, a goat there. Seem no different to this man. Where the hell are those animal activists in this when you need them? I asked why. He simply answered for luck and to help me win that next Oscar. It was a peculiar behavior, mind you, but this was just the tip of the iceberg. There was a lot more deeper down that water that would leak out once pierced. My fair warning, I did think this was innocent. Mind you, there is a lot more. I was truly running in circles of billionaires, celebrities, athletes, you name it. I couldn't believe my eyes or even believe one day I would be hanging around people that had so much prestige and influence within society. The illusion that they ran is one of the flesh. They misguided society to becoming voluntary sinners through the infiltration of propaganda used to program the minds of as young as a child. Much of their perception and decisions are based solely on this. Some never see the big picture. Some never question and perish in the carnal without knowing the true extent of it all. I know this is just a journal of what I am experiencing here, but I cannot just blurt out all I've seen. That would be too obvious for them. It's a bit difficult, you see, as I have been traumatized and my mind shattered from this mental abuse, of which I don't wish any human. But sadly, it is necessary to understand the great extent of our creation and why. As of recently, I think the outside world is living in calamity. History always repeats itself, and there are always resets to it all. I can't help to think what it'll all be, and if I ever get to see past these white walls ever again. I do miss a nice home-cooked meal. You know, the ones you crave right after a long day at work, and your wife still shows you that love and submissiveness. The whole world died the very day we were indoctrinated to believe certain things over time. These very ideas have disrupted our psyche and corrupted our minds to the point we don't know what our true purpose has been. Everything is a mere fabrication of many authorities in control, manipulating through the tip of their tongues the very verbs that the Creator spoke about to create this utopia. I say this as set standards one is brought up will be influenced by these outside sources over time and simply divulge into the sinning of what is now defined as normal. Definitions of things, places, and such are changed in a diverted manner over time, kind of like in Orwell's 1984, where you would not know what is true or what course history took, as the very media was manipulated by those in power. Thinking outside the box will be considered a criminal offense at some point, and the saddening part is, you may even be betrayed by your own flesh and blood in set pursuit to show their loyalty to people that merely see them as useless eaters and dependent peasants. Oh yes, this entire game is rigged. You're born into this game, molding your mind to acclimate yourself to set rules. Progress is nothing more than regress in this nature as the human species slowly diverts its attention to the I and not the we. This begins a crisis in which many become confused or overly egotistical, which is what the I does not want. Too many focus on the outer shell exterior more than focusing on the inner workings of accepting oneself. Everyone wants to fit in, be popular among their peers, be the best they can be, but sometimes it results in loneliness, sadness of the inner soul. You see, all these people that you idolize are the very parasites feeding you these dreams and illusions of falsehood. They are the ones inverting all that was right in the name of progress. They are the wicked sinners and worshippers put here by an entity believed to be a work of fiction. But on the contrary, history that we know of is quite honest to demonstrate how we arrived at a certain point. A point where bloodshed, tears, rape, agony, murder were a big part in turning uncivilized colonies to be loyal. to the system. They're all connected, related in some way, and through codes, through doublespeak, have made this come to fruition. I've come to understand just how deep in a shithole we are, but yet for seeing the chess game through my very eyes, I have been burdened with a threat to mankind, as these words will make many weep and burn the deepest burrows of the soul to realize that my verbs burn through their very sound barrier and consume their mind in a way like an iceberg melts in an ocean of water, as it pretty much floods out any perception that they once considered reality at a given point in their life. Monks and many other religious figures call this world an illusion, even science for that matter. What can I say? The world is upside down and the common person does not seem to realize it. We have basically moved on from our core values and let our morality be tested through decades of propagating the mind to different patterns of thinking. Without realizing it, we have fallen for the trap of liberation and are generally uncautiously sinning due to the society itself pushing forward said ideas. Children are being corrupted very early on and indoctrinated with such filth, confusing things along the way and just letting them be to an extent that they don't know the moral and spiritual damage being done uncautiously. I for certain don't know all the truth, but in the time I have been alive, I have seen so much change that basically paves the road to the carnal abyss, opening gateways to hell itself. For certain, all these patterns, along with the pursuit of progress, have certainly stagnated the development of a true and natural evolution. We become materialistic to the extent that we value things more than human life. Even I myself am a victim of such. We are plain and simple sinners embarked on a journey to poison our wells. This is hell, and no one seems to understand that. No one sees that what is evidently in front of their faces. It's one of the reasons I came to terms with the falseness and all, and wanted out. That meant no going back to the old life I lived. No longer imprisoned mentally, and able to see where the hand of God will point so I can oblige with its will. Some even believed I was more of a psychopath, but no, that was far from the truth. Even if I looked a little bit rugged along with the lines of my forehead. Sorry about that. Rugged beard along with the lines of my forehead inside my mind and spirit were emerging to an aspect of reality which has given me more of depth and hunger for a better world than those that hid themselves on the guise of the ego and the outer. The polarity I have chosen in this lifetime is that of light, which shines on knowledge of our true nature. For we have remained in our darkness for eons. Those that worship and work for this darkness may have all the riches ever imagined, and enough to live multiple lives here. But what they lack is a soul. For so much hunger of the flesh, hunger of the pleasure, and hunger of the power. One that feeds and does not stop, as its hunger is everlasting, and one that just keeps getting more sicker and twisted within time. We can even rest assured it is a demon of sorts that takes possession of its host. But who believes in ghosts and demons anyway? These pagans have hid for so long that they programmed the masses to be pagans themselves. History and knowledge have been suppressed in order to keep the human asleep, and like a hamster that keeps that wheel rolling and feeding its gluttonous self, ever distracted, ever enamored with its enslavement. Questions, more of them arise within time, and within time they are answered. You see, we have lived many lives, and through many lives we have learned lessons. Our soul is eternal. What is not memories and the flesh. As we embark on another adventure in new human meat suits, we start at zero, only to immediately fall for the trap upon the first breath. Did Jesus not sacrifice himself for our sins?